Welcome back into the Yinzer Crazy podcast, sponsored by YinzerCrazy.com. Joined by Mike and Jordan on the show today. Locked in on a Friday afternoon as we get you ready for Pitt Louisville on Saturday. We've had the fortune of having some awesome signal callers on the show thus far. Pete Gonzalez, Bruce Gradkowski, Max Brown joined us last week. And we're fortunate to be joined by another Pitt Panther legend. It's quarterback Bill Stull. Bill, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Absolutely, guys. Appreciate it. Excited to be on.
You are a Yinzer through and through. You moved to Pittsburgh in middle school, correct? And since then have kind of always stayed around the city, right?
Yeah, man. Moved to Pittsburgh and ended up learning the Yinzer ways, and the Steel City's been awesome. This is absolutely home.
Bill was a star at Mount Lebanon. Went on to obviously start for the Pitt Panthers. In his last year at Pitt, Stull threw for 2,633 yards and became the first quarterback since Dan Marino in 1981 to lead Pitt to 10 wins. That still holds today. Bill, what are some things that stick out about your career at Pitt? Obviously, a very successful career playing for Coach Dave Wanstedt, and leading this team to 10 wins, something that they haven't done since you were there. What kind of things do you take away from that experience to this day?
Absolutely take away the experience of playing in the backyard of my hometown. I mean, it was, I was blessed and fortunate enough to have picked a lot of, I guess, had the opportunity to go to a lot of Division I schools, and it was just something about staying home and in this atmosphere and in this football city, where high school football, college football, obviously Steelers, it's kind of a big deal if people didn't quite realize. But if you're anywhere from Pittsburgh, football is obviously one of the tops around. And playing at Pitt, being able to have my whole family, my friends, my high school coaches, and always, be able to come just, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes away from their house, downtown to North Shore. It was just amazing. But, you talk about the 10-win game, 10-win season, I definitely take away the fact of, we had about 15, 16, maybe 17 seniors on that team in 2009 season, and a lot of them were actual WPIAL guys,
right?
Guys that went to high school in and around this city, and I think that speaks volumes of just the state of Pennsylvania, of high school football, plus specifically the city of Pittsburgh. Obviously, specifically.
Bill, I'm curious about what you just touched on, the fact that you were able to play in your home city, essentially, a place where you grew up, made a ton of connections, had a bunch of relationships, because I've heard a lot of former Pittsburghers kind of feel the opposite. I remember Terrell Pryor saying something along the lines of when the Steelers were interested in him, that he didn't necessarily want to come back to Pittsburgh because of all those connections and that added stress it might have on his life. It sounds like you kind of felt differently, having those relationships already bonded and them being able to come out to your games, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, TP's experience is his own, and my experience is obviously going to be different. But I chose, I actually committed to Kentucky and then decommitted whenever Wanstedt came in last, the 12th hour, so to speak, 13th hour. A couple weeks before signing day, I decided to come back and stay in Pitt. It was just something for me. I welcomed that challenge. I remember how awesome it was playing in high school and having success, and the camaraderie of just Pittsburgh rooting for you whenever you went to Hershey to go play, the opposite side of the state, so to speak. Having things work out very well in high school, I just imagine if I have success in college, how awesome that's going to be to have that city, have our city root for our team. And to be a part of that was just something awesome, for lack of better words, and extremely excited to have success with that, and with all of my buddies that I've either played against in high school or absolutely saw at all the camps that were around, in Pittsburgh around that time.
Well, you certainly were up to the task. There's no question about that. In that final season, you guys did win 10 games, took home the Meineke Car Care Bowl, defeating North Carolina. Hey, you touched on it briefly. I want to ask you about the man, the myth, the legend, Dave Wanstead. How was playing for Wani? I think a lot of Pittsburghers, think about his NFL career with the Bears and the Dolphins, the mustache, the accent. How was playing for a guy who is considered a legendary coach in the ranks?
Oh, he definitely is legendary, and you talk about someone who's Pitt through and through. He didn't have to come back to Pittsburgh. He didn't have to come back and try to get involved with the university or anything. He wanted to. He's a Baldwin guy. He didn't need the money. He's won, I don't know how many championships, through college and being a part of Super Bowls and all that stuff. But he didn't have to. But he is a Pittsburgh guy, like I said, through and through, and he's tough. He's extremely tough. He treated us like a professional team, but he knew how to facilitate being a head coach, and he having that Pittsburghness. I guess I just made up a word, but
I love it. We're taking that, Bill. The Pittsburghness.
But having that Pittsburgh mindset really was able to be transparent to the other Pittsburgh kids. But we dominated the state of Florida in recruiting. I mean, we really did. Like, we took guys from Florida, from Miami, and they followed Wanstead, and they came to Pitt, and we were really excited to have a lot of those guys. And Wanstead was tough. He was absolutely tough, but he was fair. And I think a lot of guys can look hindsight that really helped form us as men, not necessarily, well, on the field, of course, but definitely helped off the field as well.
Really interesting stuff. We're talking to Bill Stull, former Pitt quarterback, current Pittsburgh resident, about Coach Dave Wanstead, a former Pittsburgher as well, and lifetime Yinzer. Certainly coming full circle here on the Yinzer Crazy Show. Some great stuff, no question about it. Bill, I want to touch on the current Pitt team. You're still in the area. I'm sure you're still a huge fan. Pat Narduzzi has his team undefeated, ranked 21st nationally, coming off a win against Syracuse, where they played a little bit sloppy, but it ultimately got the W. What do you like about this current team, including quarterback Kenny Pickett, and evaluate him as a former quarterback and his kind of style of play and moxie?
All right, I'll start with the season and the craziness, that led up to it, all that stuff. Absolutely still a Pitt football follower. I love the fact that, we started this season kind of unsure of, how things are going to go. And with practice and camp, you're full go and then you stop and you're not sure what to do. You're not allowed to practice. So they're just like the NFL with not having preseason. I was a little worried, but I think we could all understand a little bit of sloppy play right now. But I'm looking forward to seeing that type of stuff subside over these next couple games, especially when they get more important each game as far as conference play and those types of things. And I'm just excited the fact that we are undefeated and the fact that we didn't have any major slip-ups because of, preparation or anything like that. There's no big upset from that first game. How those things could be a little scary. I was extremely pleased the fact that we blew them out. And, made it seem like when people see that score, okay, that's what Pitt should do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Talking about the Austin Peay game. Yep.
Absolutely, Austin Peay. Yes, and you know, the way that the new schedule is lined up, guys, I think everyone's first reaction of, okay, sweet, we got 4 home games in a row. That's going to be pretty cool, but we still can't go to them. So that kind of stinks for us as fans. But then you look at those big home or big away games, you know, Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and you have, who else am I missing? Clemson.
Yep. It's a big one.
I mean, those away games those games in general, playing those teams are tough, no matter what, home or away. But then you have to go to them. At first, I was thinking, oh my goodness, you know, this is tough. But then one word came to mind once I finally really started looking at the team, is opportunity. I mean, you think of a competitor, the ultimate competitor, you know, competition, it's football. So these guys should be looking at these games and these schedules, not saying that they should be looking ahead or anything. They got to take care of Louisville, and we'll touch on that in a sec. But, I mean, this is an unbelievable opportunity because they can win the big game. Kenny's proved that.
Yeah.
And now I'll go right into Kenny. I think you absolutely see leadership out of him. You see composure. He's smart. I mean, and I was doing a little research, you know, trying to prepare myself and have a little something for today. So I'm looking at my notes here, and I was looking at this article that Narduzzi was talking about Kenny, and he was quoted saying he's the most underrated quarterback in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then just went on to praise him. And, you know, I was just thinking as a quarterback how awesome that is. You know, I love to hear a head football coach just back the heck up, you know, his quarterback. You know, that's just something that's something else that Kenny doesn't have to worry about. He can just go play football. You know what I mean? Right. Having that support of your head football coach is amazing. And the fact that he rightfully so is backing him up. I mean, Kenny's, in my opinion, and obviously I'm biased, but he's one of the better, I'd say, you know, number 2 to, you know, our Clemson Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, for sure, and that's high praise, and I totally agree with your sentiment. I'm sure Pickett was happy to hear about the way Narduzzi felt about him and came out and talked about that. We're talking with Bill Stull here in the Yinzer Crazy Show, the last Pitt quarterback to lead the team to 10 victories. Kenny Pickett hoping to do the same this season. Bill, a quick 2-parter just based on some of your insight there because that was all terrific stuff. One, how weird would it be for you to play a collegiate football game without a crowd there? Because it's something I'm assuming you'd never done in high school or middle school or even Pop Warner, right? And then
Right.
2, is it an advantage now for a Pitt team to go into Clemson, to go into these schools, Miami, without, you know, Miami will have a smaller crowd, or maybe go into Death Valley and Clemson without there being a huge crowd on top of you to kind of rattle you? How big an advantage can that play out too? So a 2-parter there, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely going to be. All right, I would say going to Death Valley and not having to worry about, you know, hey, we got to change our hand signals for this week,
right?
Because I'm not going to be able to call out this blitz and say, hey, slot receiver, you know, if he comes, remember that hot route. No, I have to come up with a new hand signal because maybe last week. So I mean, they're always scouting the last 4 games of whatever team they play. So they're going to see whatever hand signal that you're doing. So the fact that, you know, Coach Whipple doesn't have to spend time during practice teaching new hand signals. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to just spit out whatever code word or point to whatever, for Kenny to point to whatever guy and say, hey, make sure if he comes, you're breaking it off. Making those line calls for any blitzes or any checks at the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's an outstanding point. That's going to play favor to Pitt for those away games. You're absolutely right about that. And I kind of laughed a little bit about the first question.
No crowd.
About me playing with no fans.
Once you get in between the lines, does it matter? Do you even notice it?
You hear it, but it's almost like a noise canceling experience, if I can kind of correlate to that to something that everybody can kind of, use in a headset, I guess.
Right.
Using your Beats, you throw that noise canceling thing on and you're in tunnel vision almost. If I can
locked in.
Try to articulate that a little bit, but my experience was kind of tough at times. I got, let's say, the taste of our Pittsburgh passion of winning when I didn't do so well. I heard it, which rightfully so. I mean, that's Pittsburgh, and it just made my skin a lot thicker than it was. I'll tell you that. But I think it would definitely play to an advantage for the away team coming into a bigger stadium. Absolutely. But for me, I might like it because now I don't have to worry about the extra, fluff that we have to disguise things as far as hand signals and all that type of stuff. I could just spit out the verbiage and go play. But you always love the crowd. I mean, there's nothing like pregame warm-ups, looking over at, the Panther prowl, your student section, guys and they're all painted up. They're doing push-ups, throwing each other around and just screaming "Hail to Pitt!" Like, how can you not want that and thrive off that too? So it's a double-edged sword, but it plays obviously to our favor for home games because the crowd knows when to hush it down a little bit, and then obviously when to fire it up, and you can't help but feel that energy and thrive off that too.
Really awesome stuff from a guy who's seen it all under center here in the Berg. We're talking with Bill Stull on the Yinzer Crazy podcast. Bill, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are going to be listeners of ours and fans and excited to have you on that are wondering what's life after football kind of look like for you. I know you're a family man now, right? So busier than ever.
Yeah. Say that again?
So busier than ever, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. I've been truly blessed with a beautiful wife, Miranda, and I have my 2.5-year-old son, Drake, who looks like he's 4.
He's got some quarterback in his future, huh? Some quarterbacking in his future. You can already tell?
He might not be quarterback, man. He might be a linebacker. This kid's physical.
I love it.
All he wants to do is just run me over, and he thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. So I try to tell him I have a little experience of trying to protect myself, but he's too amazing. If he wants to play football, I'm gonna let him. But when that time comes, hopefully I can coach him up and be a part of that team and make sure it's, the team and him and everyone's coached up the right way. With the whole concussion type stuff
sure.
and all that. But and then I have my quarantine baby, my beautiful daughter who's 6 months old. As soon as quarantine and coronavirus hit, my wife was 9 months pregnant, and our daughter Gianna Stull was born, and kind of extremely awkward, throughout quarantine. But we've been, making it work just like everyone else, and just doing our best. And crazy thing is, I almost feel bad. People have been losing jobs left and right, and my career kind of took a turn for the worse. I was doing a commercial lending, and obviously with the economy and market kind of at a standstill for about 4 or 5 months there, that really really didn't take off, so, for lack of better words. But then I ended up getting another job during quarantine, and I ended up finding a new career, and I was extremely excited. I didn't even know this type of career even existed, but I'm working now for Procom Headsets.
Mm-hmm.
We provide top of line headsets for our high schools, our colleges, and we even provide headsets for the XFL, their first season. So we're based down here in Pittsburgh and New Ken, Lower Borough area, and I mean we have thousands of accounts all over the U.S. We ship all over the world, and a lot of our high schools in the WIPUL, I've had the pleasure of meeting with coaches and just showing them our stuff, and it's really awesome the fact that we are in Pittsburgh and we're able to last minute seasons have started and we're still shipping out. I'm going and delivering stuff left and right to our local schools, and it's definitely a benefit for our local schools that we're right here.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really awesome the fact that I'm back in football, involved now at all levels. I'm looking forward to getting into some coaching here, hopefully next season. I'm looking to move out in the North Hills area, hopefully buy a house. So a lot of things are going on. It's crazy, but it's all positive. It's all good stuff, and I'm glad to be in Pittsburgh.
Certainly, yep. It certainly does look like football pulled you back in, man. It is wild how everything comes full circle. Well, hey, listen, man, we congratulate you on the beautiful family. Wishing you nothing but good health moving forward. Stoked to have you on the Yinzer Crazy Show, and give you the platform to share your Pittsburgh-ness. We're stealing that, bro. We're taking it.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it, brother. Thanks for all the awesome insight. Let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Hey, anytime, guys. It was a pleasure. I appreciate, giving me the time to talk about some football. I'm always down to talk about football whenever you guys want. You have my info, and looking forward to it next time.
Thanks again to our man Bill for the awesome insight and interview. Happy to bring it to you on yinzercrazy.com. Make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms, including Spotify, Google Playlists, Apple Podcasts, and more. We are sponsored by yinzercrazy.com as well as Performance Auto on Freeport Road in New Kensington. Make sure you check them out for all your car needs. Some awesome guests next week. Once again, make sure you get with us soon. We're excited to bring you more content as we continue here on yinzercrazy.com. I'm Mike for JY. Peace.